popping a few of these deep observer wards as well to be able to set up for that next play. So kind of like what I was talking about in the lead up to this game, I think that's what Matreshka need to be thinking a little bit more of this time around. They need to be thinking of what do we want to do in 2 to 3 minutes time and how can we set up for that.
Okay. We even see, yeah, 1J even bought a Quelling Blade as well from the Shadow Demons, so...
Chop, chop.
A bit of deforestation going on down bottom. Sorry. Yeah, not the trees. Come on, guys. You were just, I guess maybe this is one nice thing about the Tusk as well now, that you have 2 saving supports instead of just the one with the Shadow Demons, so...
Yep.
We'll see. Nikki Cool, I think, was very good with his snowballs in the last game. KD is... on a ward, and maybe I was thinking they might set up on him to force out... I mean, he's already leveled Time Walk as well anyway, so... I was going to say maybe they'd like to force out Time Walk, but he's already leveled it.
Making mistakes is the path to wisdom.
I mean, I think that's an absolute necessity for that lane regardless, right? Like, you're going to get overwhelming odds. You're going to get spammed out by the Skywrath Mage. I quickly use the quick fingers once again. Not quick enough, unfortunately.
And as a result, it's going to be a 3 for 1. Okay. Well, isn't that 4 for 0 when we're calling it? Not 3 for 1. That's a little bit premature. Come on. I know you're used to that, but...
I never call it early. I fight it out until the very end. I don't want to hear this slander against me.
Where are my trees, dude?
They're not anywhere. He's just going to need to wait a few minutes and play around the right side, and I mean, StoRm are just going to play around the left. And like, don't give this guy any trees to be able to play with. Screw that. That is an early point in the homing missile to be able to start things off. Put a little pressure in onto Dominic.
Are we expecting Natty Narwhal to have a better game overall here? Because, I mean, we saw he really wasn't able to do much in the previous game with the Invoker. We saw so much attention put onto his hero, in particular in a lot of the fights. So do we think there's much that he has to be worried about in the second game?
The thing that I'm most worried about is the rotations coming through from the Enchantress potentially, right? I know that it's Katie playing up against a really hard lane, so it might be a little bit more challenging for that sort of thing to happen, but prior to level 6, the StoRm is incredibly vulnerable if you've got like a level 5 Tusk and a level 2 or level 3 Enchantress rotating in. And they're just looking to farm. They're looking to try and sustain as much as possible in this lane. Seneko already leveling up the Nature's Attendants, realizing that he doesn't really need to concern himself too much with damage output. Any time that he can just put a little bit extra in to force out some of that regen is going to be a plus. But for now, he just wants to live, although he might not.
Well, no, there's not a lot of living going on there for Seneko. And bottom lane, not a lot of living going on as well for 1J. So Matreshka already been able to get 2 kills on the board.
Good start for them. Had 6 wand charges available on Seneko, so could have been a possibility to be able to pop those, but maybe he just thought with the blood grenade on him, he was dead regardless. This is what I was wanting, right? We were wanting that scaling to be able to start off. It's not off dual damage, but it's off of a nice little golden XP boost to these really strong laning heroes. Most of the time when you see an Enchantress, you think, well, that's the strongest laning hero that you could possibly ask for, but not going to be the case this time around, and they're even getting a pull-off too. So much better start for Matreshka this game. Also, any time that you're able to get those kills, it means much lower possibility for that rotation to come through for the Enchantress onto Natty Narwhal. So he's going to have a bit of an easier time too.
Radiant's top tower is under attack.
Overall, looks like everyone's off to an easier time, which is going to be very, very important for them. So you want to go back to the Enchantress, because something you mentioned in the draft that, you know, was mentioning about how much damage we're going to see out of Seneko. We did see this hero get some changes in that previous patch, as I'll actually hold that thought, because with the Lotus, 1J... Oh, actually, off the mark there with the Nature's Cross, so 1J should be able to get through the trees. Turns for another round, and I mean, Retsu's cut him off anyway, so it's not going to matter. They'll be able to get the kill in the end, and now they'll chase down Dominic for a little bit extra damage. But yeah, what do we make of the changes to the Enchantress? You know, they swapped up the Scepter and the Shard. There were some other ones with, like, the Untouchable, I think getting nerfed a little bit, even some base damage, but really the Scepter and the Shard is what I'm intrigued about.
Feels pretty obnoxious to be able to just get the Sproink for free, basically, for much cheaper. Kind of feels like when Hoodwink was strong, when she initially got that the Hunter's Boomerang given over from the Shard. Yes, it was less effective than what it previously was, but it just still to have that damage amp tool Is he going to be okay up here? No, he is not.
No, not at all. Holy crap.
Dropped as well. Just that 1 point in the Ancient Seal is going to be so much value, and this honestly feels like the sort of game where you want to be maxing that kind of thing out.
No, you don't.
There's a lot that Underlord is going to need to be picking up here. Of course, he needs to be staying in the lane. He needs to be pushing that out. You would love to have the pipe to be able to sustain a little bit, but you need a Lotus Orb as well to be able to get out of things like the Overgrowth, like the Mystic Flare.
Goodness. Goodness.
So what are you even looking at the item build as potentially for the Void? Like, is this... You're considering something like a Manta style? Are you considering like Satanic eventually in the build as well?
I think it's early Manta for me personally. Just again to put a little bit of that extra pressure on the map to obviously still keep up your farming potential.
And they are not respecting this Tree and Protector. I don't know if they haven't played it versus a long time. I mean, they cut down all the trees, but we see just once when they are caught out of position, Dark is getting a lot of damage into the supports.
He's being very selfless as well with his farm. He gives away his Tango over to Retsu, despite the fact that Retsu still has a couple available for himself, and he doesn't have any for himself. Maybe he wants to give it back. Yeah, there we go. Shares back the shared Tango. Still,
what can
I was expecting to see? What can who do?
I'll hold that, Katie. I keep taking some damage. Oh, very interesting. Drops the raindrop to not get the proc out of the Arcane Bolt. What can Seneca do in particular? Because it feels like he's, like you said, is really going to be that big person, especially now with the bit of a deficit they've gained. Is Jesus Christ, the new Katie. I guess Seneca leaves the lane. How is Katie really going to be able to play up top?
He can't. That's the big thing that I was talking about, right? It's the importance of doing well with this start. All right, they finally get Dark. Really, the long game has paid off eventually with being able to cut out the majority of those trees to be able to play around with. We see just the 1 point in the Rocket Barrage. Feels okay, right? You're going to be going up against the time dilation slow. You're going to be going up against the tag team as well. So it feels kind of nice to be able to dodge out at least a little bit of that with a slow resistance.
Nadinawa.
He's level 6.
Oh, Nikki, never mind. Don't go for that. Dark is here. And with that Chain Protect acting the +1 as well, Nadinawa can instantly turn it back around. So yes, you take away the Arcane Rune, but you know, what a difference this second game is from game 1. 5 kills all on, and Nadinawa, he's on top as well.
Yep, you just can't make those rotations, right? And by the time they made it, he was already level 6. He got the bottle refill too. So things set up for a much better game for Matreshka this time around. Top side, Mellors was taking a little bit of right-click damage through mostly just from Katie. I think he got a lucky double bash there on the top side. Looks like both teams will be able to secure their own Wisdom runes, so no harm, no foul there. 1J as well can look to build up some stacks for his Underlord to be able to pick, but I really don't feel like this is the sort of game where Dominic can just look to sit back inside of the jungle and, you know, take jungle stacks. He needs to be on the lane. He needs to be putting aggressive pressure on. He needs to be forcing people to go on him as opposed to anyone else on his team. Obviously, he's going to be so much tankier, right? Atrophiora plus the Vanguard. Even the Legion Commander, with the start that she's had, is going to have a much rougher time.
So if Dominic's going to be in some danger down bottom, Banishment kind of sets up for the call down. But get the damage out of the second missile as well, and it looks like that should be enough. And now even 1J might be under assault if Dark wants to continue to tank the tower. The Queso pretty happy with getting the kill onto Dominic nonetheless.
Nice little attempt there by 1J to be able to soak up a little bit of the Rocket Barrage attacks, but wasn't meant to be. Even just 1 point in Rocket Barrage is the difference, right? Like, he does not die if you don't have 1 point Rocket Barrage, and this is really what I was expecting them to do. With a strong lane, with an Underlord that, again, needs to buy so much. He needs to be on the lane, he needs to be pushing, he needs to be that front line.
Nikki's actually surprisingly tanky.
Raindrops will do that. But yeah, it does feel like this Underlord needs the Arcane Boots, and then he needs the Lotus Orb, and then he also needs a Cloak, just so that he's not taking all this damage. And it's going to be quite some time before he gets into that, because of how aggressive Matreshka have been in this laning stage. So this is what I like a lot better out of them. He's actually gone for the Mechanism instead. Makes sense, right? You're going to be dealing some AoE damage, so you're going to get instant value out of that heal pop, and as well, you're also going to have the the Dispel as well if things are used onto yourself. Go into the Greaves. It's going to be a while though.
If you're Natty Narwhal in particular, how are you looking to continue off the back of the strong start? Top of the net worth, you've definitely won mid by a long shot. You're almost 1,000 aheaders. So hold that because bottom lane, Retsu. In some danger. Retsu might be able to turn it back around. Well, here's Natty Narwhal. They'll turn to deal with 1J first. Now he's got a little bit of mana left in the tank as well. Dominic is a bit more difficult to go through. And now, especially with Katie sharpening up as well, they've got the Chronosphere. Might not even need it, though. Because even Nikki Cool wants to step in and get involved as well. So StoRm, they bring multiple members down to this bottom side of the map to get a couple of return kills.
I mean, that's been the best play by far for StoRm. Katie making that TP rotation down, recognizing that, hey, Legion Commander's got level 6, you've got Skywrath Mage up the top here, no shortage of damage there. I'm just going to be bullied out of this lane anyway, so let's try and make a turnaround happen. You use the power rune on the StoRm, yeah, you get a couple of kills, but you give up to yourselves and potentially deal some pretty significant damage into this tower too. I mean, you're going up against a Treant Protector with just the 1 point in the living armor. If you're able to take away this tower, that's a huge benefit, and that's why you can see the LC making the rotation down here.
Well, let's see where Katie wants to go now. I guess at least Mask of Madness is coming out on the chorus, so he will be able to... True, I mean, maybe you can consider about sticking around, but something you mentioned in the draft is that their damage inside Chrono is it's pretty non-existent unless the Enchantress is able to find some items this game. So
she's going the trend, so she's not put a single point in the untouchable right now. So that indicates to me that Seneko is not too worried about getting caught out because he is going to be farming away.
Gotta be cautious bottom now, especially with that Mystic Flare now picked up for Laguna. So yeah, we're going to see 1J position accordingly, and now they're actually just going to rotate their attention over to mid instead. They've got the Dark Troll summoned with the Catapult Wave. This tower's going to go down unless people TP in.
Take a lot longer now that those creeps are gone, and well, this is where not going the untouchable can end up hurting you. Ends up dying a lot quicker. Just realizing the importance of using cooldown just onto those Skeleton Warriors. Was 6 rally stacks that they had, so the tower was completely melting. So good recognition there coming out from Retsu.
So I want to continue to speak about this Enchantress build because it feels like, you know, there could be an argument for maybe a pipe to be considered on Seneko, because like we're seeing out of Dominic, he's going mech and probably into Greaves or Lotus, like you said. So do you... I know we said like you're going to be lacking damage inside the Chrono, but do you prefer a pipe considering how much magic damage Matreshka have?
Again, it's one of those games where I feel like they need both. That's the thing.
Okay.
What do I prefer? I think it's just going to come down to what the situation is with like the towers, right? If you can afford to have a few more towers taken, maybe you can pick up a little bit more aggressive farm, right? And if people are going to make TPs, they're going to be super defensive
mid lane
as well.
Hang on, Retsu, that is crazy beating onto a T1 tower. I didn't see how it started, but Katie, no messing around with the use of the Chronosphere, and that's a big kill for them to find. Nikki Cool as well gets it as well. So he's actually doing a decent job to keep up with the Storm Spirit's net worth considering what we saw prior. So this is in fact Blink Dagger that's going to be completed if he wants to buy out for it.
It's a scary prospect, right? But again, like, who is he going to play with is my main issue here. We can see Seneko, I think he's got the power treads finished up, so maybe it's going to be the Enchantress that he looks to make a lot of rotations around onto. Maybe it's going to be something as simple as, you know what, we're going to have people that probably aren't super beefy defending a lot of these towers. And honestly, this lineup, having taken 2 towers before 13 minutes, I think they're going to be over the moon with that outcome.
Top lane, Dominic. With the use of the Blade Mail, let's see if they're going to have the damage to go through the Underlord. They'll try and TP Seneko in, but...
just enough.
They'll have to stand idly by and watch as... yeah, Storm's like, alright. Thank you for the tip, Mr. Mellis. Very important for him to help out and get that dual victory. First one of the game. We'll see how he's going to be able to scale as this one goes on.
Oh, there's a lot of stacks built up as well for Retsu to be able to take.
I don't think this is happening. Yeah.
And look at all the ancient stacks that Radiant have to play with. There's a lot of farm.
Oh, wow.
Really just an indication of saying, hey, Retsu, you don't need to go that deep onto the lane anymore, man. We're going up against a lineup that does have a lot of burst if you're able to take it near the towers, and honestly has a lot of burst even without that now with the Blink Dagger available on Nikki Cool.
Okay, so he did go for it. I was considering like what else he might be considering, whether it was like a Deso rush or like a BKB rush.
I think you get kind of around way too easily. Like, you can't just walk into a lot of these fights. You need the catch for the Storm. You'd have to say that's probably the main target for them right now, right? Like, LC is pretty tanky with the build that she's gone for. Lots of armor, Spark of Courage, Blade Mail picked up, whereas Storm Spirit, it's a lot more of the aggressive style, you know, glass cannon sort of build that is capable of confirming dual kills like we saw previously up top, even onto the tankiest hero on their team in the Underlord.
Let's see what they're going to be able to do with the blink. Trying to position around Dominic. Melis
Cannot kill him.
yeah, I don't think so either. He might just turn it. He's got Sky nearby. Melis is a bit hesitant at the moment. Now tries to find the dual target onto 1J. He's going to get it out, but it might be a little bit too late. Winner, Nikki. Cool. Now Dominic is going to try and get up to Laguna as well. Pit's already been used, but it's going to be up to the Toss to rely on some of the spell casting to close the distance, and I'll do that with ease. So Storm, double kill given over to the Underlord, and no, not that it really matters, but some dual damage for the Shadow Demon.
It matters. You know it matters. They're going to
come
be
on,
an absolute beast at the end of this game. But 1J just giving the tip over.
Oh, he's going to zip in. Zip over the top, in fact, Katie. Oh, a little bit of danger. Let's see if Natty's going to have the damage. He does indeed, but he's out of mana, and Nikki Cool's going to stop the TP short. As yes, you lose the Faceless Void, but these are really big kills. This Tusk hero needs to snowball, and we're seeing so much value out of the Blink Dagger so far for him. This is already one of the components on his way to the Desolator.
It's feeling really good for him, and he's just going to keep that damage flowing. I mean, we barely saw it in the last game. Look at that win probability right down the middle. And it's pretty understandable, right? It is just going to come down to, are you able to snowball on the Tusk? Are you able to get into the early levels? Are you able to continuously blow up these supports? Or is it going to be an early Desolator and then that lead into... Remember, it can go up to an additional 30 damage now instead of 20. So there is some scaling potential on the Tusk relative to previous. A haste rune to be able to play around with. I'm sure we'd love to have just level 12 for a little bit of that extra crit bonus. For now, I think they really do want to make a bit of an aggressive move. Shut down Melis, make sure he's not scaling. If you could delay that Blink Dagger timing as well, that makes it even better.
Dude, what? Okay, never mind, I found it. I was looking to see who got Radiant's Wisdom Rune. I actually kept scrolling up and down maybe 5 times, but I saw finally Dark got it. Never mind. I was going to ask you if you knew who, because I was starting to annoy me, but it's okay. It's okay. Worked it out.
Got to say as well, the Treant Protector just for the overgrowth against the Faceless Void is going to be pretty nice, right? As long as he's in position. Some of the saves coming through from the Leech Seed, quite a big cast range, Living Armor, of course, on top of that, and the overgrowth as well. And up until the Faceless Void has that that Manta style, it's going to be a big tool at being able to prevent a lot of that from happening. So right now, doesn't seem like he's going to be able to do too much down this bottom side. This is why I was really impressed by how early Storm were able to take a lot of those early towers, because this is really what Dark looks to play around, right? He wanted to be able to protect the tier 1 bot, but he just hasn't had the potential to do so.
He might even pop a smoke pretty shortly. Okay, never mind, they don't actually have one. I thought they might smoke from bottom to top. The line is drawn. They're going to have to run up there, though. Meanwhile, with the vision that Dark's providing them, or at least that information, Matreshka going to look for their own play. They have this Blink Dagger to work with on Melis. You need to start getting the dual victories, especially with the Sky Legion combo. They're going to try and play around their ward inside the river. Dominic is not an easy kill, especially with Nikki nearby to potentially protect it with a snowball.
And 1J behind him, but look at that.
They're going to go for the supports. Natty over the top. Instant snowball. It's a great overgrowth from Dark. They haven't been able to secure any kills just yet. Now they're going to try and jump in with a duel as well. Eyes on Katie. What he's going to be able to do to turn the fight, because with the Chronosphere clipping onto 3, he's going to try and target down with the Sky at the moment. Now they'll turn to Melis next as well. But they still haven't addressed Retsu as this Gyrocopter having a free fight inside the middle. Even Natty Narwhal as well was able to deal with some of the support to and add another one to the tally as Retsu gets involved, and we got a triple kill for the Storm Spirit in the end. So it was a great chrono, but not enough to turn the fight.
Yeah, that damage in it is just lacking, right? Everyone else was isolated, and I mean, Natty Narwhal's the MVP of that fight. He just goes in, dives on the backlines, forces so many defensive tools at the very start of the fight, and it just is pretty simple for the Gyrocopter to clean up after the fact. I think it was a 4-man overgrowth coming through as well from the Treant Protector, so very nice spell combinations coming through from Matreshka there, and you can see what they're capable of doing once they're able to make that backline dive. Once again, no dual damage, but I really don't think they're going to care all that much.
Ooh, might have to go live pretty shortly. They're smoking top, and they see Retsu and Melis. This could be a huge opportunity for StoRm. They're going to try and move him with a duel, but look at the positioning out of Dire. Instantly there with the banishment to stop the duel short. They'll get the kill onto Retsu. And now Radiant, they're a little bit too far away from the tier 1 towers to get these extra reinforcements. Dive will come through the Rift. Laguna as well is actually here and not fast enough. And now Natty Narwhal too. Another person through the Rift, so never mind. Matreshka. Yes, you lose Retsu, but at least there was a couple of constellation prizes inside that fight.
Seneko hunting for more? Looks like he just wants to place down a little bit of vision to be able to protect for any future movements down that sort of avenue. You do have the Desolator now picked up for Nicky Cool as well, so they want to be a little bit more on the front foot at this point. I think with the Gyrocopter going down, they're going to feel like, you know what, he needs to play a little bit more conservatively.
Nicky Cool. Oh my god. Oh, he's actually going to zip for it. Gonna get the snowball for the silence. Won't be fast enough. All right, even though it was a pretty good reaction out of the blink, Matreshka was still able to chase. Bottom lane, we got another duel as well. This time it's under the Faceless Void, and this time it's a victory for Malice. All right. A really nice sequence of events here from Matreshka over the past couple of minutes.
And this is what I was talking about with the setting up for the next couple of minutes, right? This ward down bottom has been there for quite some time, and they saw the Faceless Void just walking in as after he took the Lotus Orbs, healing Lotuses. I keep getting those confused. It's just one of those things where you're setting yourself up for future success, and it's been absent in their past few games. So I love teams that adapt as the qualifiers go on, as tournaments go on, and they might even be able to take Roshan off the back of this. I'm not supremely confident about it. I mean, Faceless Void has Chrono up, but he's only alive in another 5 or so seconds.
They're going to have to poke on Dire to give the Void enough time to get there.
They see them all clumping up around this tower.
Yeah, they'll be too late now. Can they fight afterwards, though? Let's see what the call is going to be.
Do they not have a smoke? Okay, they did at the very end, but yeah, just a little bit too late. Nicky Cool.
Wait, why is Nicky not getting smoked?
I think Seneko was the one that popped it, and he didn't walk next to Nicky Cool.
Oh, is he not in...
I don't know why it's not popping. Okay. It should.
Oh, is he Retsu now on the front line?
You gotta go around him, man, but he's just really giving a lot of faith into the rest of the team standing behind him. And there's still a tier 1 tower to take, right? So there's no real reason for them to leave this lane just yet.
I was going to say, there's still a Wisdom Room as well that someone needs to go back and get. It's going to be up to 1J. This could... You lose this fight, it could just be so much map control. You're going to go for tier 2 next as well. You've got top towers that want to get shoved out. You do have a lot of farm across the map. Like, mid and top are going to have a double wave, so... Let's see if Matreshka still want to fight or if they feel like there's a bit too much farm on the map.
For me, it goes both ways, right? Like, yes, you've built up a very nice net worth lead. You've got 69% win probability, nice. You've also nearly got the Satanic picked up by the Gyrocopter, and level 18. So there's some big timings coming out there, 1,500 or so gold away, but you've also got a Crimson Guard on Dominic. You've also got 500 gold away from the Guardian Greaves, which means that he's going to be able to obviously have that additional armor on top of everything else, plus a way to be able to dispel the Ancient Seal for himself. And you've got Seneko farming somewhat decently too. He's picked up a Specialist's Array, he's got a Dragon Lance. Maybe they need to put a little bit more focus onto their Tormentor, just so that you can look to get that, that Sproink for the little bit of extra damage for the Enchantress. And, I mean, Manta style too, just about 1,000 gold away. So there's some things coming through for StoRm, but an Aegis Gyrocopter with a Satanic and as farmed as he is very scary.
They will run into Dark, but I think he's going to be fine. This Treant Protector is so frustrating to play into with how mobile you are, and especially now with the changes as well. So... you just mentioned before with the Sproink, I mean, there's even a lot of value with the Shadow Demon, right? The cleanse this game, so...
For sure.
I do think... I'm a bit intrigued about the Blink Dagger. I think a lot of people have had a read on, like, position-based supports against the StoRm. You're never going to be able to position him because of the zip. So sometimes you just look to tank up. We've seen like just casual fluffy hats. Sometimes we've seen braces. Sometimes we see glimmer capes. So we'll see 1J. You know, he's got to be pretty on point, and a lot of that's going to come down to, you know, potentially Dark could scout him out. Maybe an early gem as well could be vital for Matreshka pretty shortly. Speaking of Natty, hang on, that's a very aggressive zip in. Natty Narwhal, no BKB. What are you doing, my friend? Jesus Christ.
He felt overly confident with the shield rune, not realizing that the Shadow Demon was right there to be able to demonic purge it off. So ends up just being able to survive, but not without a scare. Still though, demonic purge being used feels pretty good.
Yeah. The longest cooldown, but still it is a bit of a window nonetheless. So I've seen them continue to poke this top tower. You got the Aegis for another minute 40. And this net worth lead's continuing to grow as well. Very good performance so far from Matreshka. 8k lead, about to be 25 minutes in.
I'm wondering who does buy a pipe, if they even do, on Storm's side. Like, both teams have serious capability to like answer what the enemy team has. Well, actually, I don't think it's more about answering on Matreshka's side. I think they're just going to have so much overwhelming potential in this next like 5-minute period. But if they can somehow get past this 5 minutes, I can definitely see avenues for Storm to be able to...
Are they going to fight it? Whoa, Nicky cool. 2 hits down the Treant Protector. They need 1J to protect him, but the banishment's too late, and now he reveals his positioning. So Natty jumps over to the squishy support. They're going to try and rift out. Dominic won't even make it. As now with the remaining mana, 99 was going to look for the body blocks instead, but the Vortex up in a couple of seconds. What a fight for Matreshka. Retsu rewarded in the end. And now a tier 2 tower as well to add to their name.
It's understandable to want to go for that fight, right? You don't have a lot of the map to be able to play with still. You got to make sure that you defend any sort of high ground vision whenever you can. But it was just, again, you mentioned it, just a slightly slow disruption coming through there. Even with the Blink Dagger, not able to get in the right position to save the Tusk to be able to start out the fight. So clearly not wanting to use the Chronosphere while they still got this Aegis available. And I mean, they've got a, is that an MKB that's completed or a Daedalus for the Gyro?
I think a Daedalus.
Daedalus, yeah. So pretty scary to have to go up into all of that, plus the Satanic, plus the Vampire Fangs, plus the Aghanim Scepter with no way to be able to reduce that. I see no Skardis, I see no Vessels, I see no Shiva's Guards. So Gyro is free in a lot of these fights.
Okay, dude, that's... I really like... I mean, it's such a minor thing, but Katie with his micro denies the Arcane Rune. I mean, Nicky Cool was also there to potentially take it, but I was going to say, to add on top of that, a Hex picked up for Natty Narwhal with an Arcane that he could have gotten. That could just have been the end of this game if they win a successful fight and can crack the higher ground, but Katie's able to take that away. Finally, they'll go back for the Tormentor, which does go 1J's way.
Again,
a bit low, though. And they're coming.
They haven't
on the charge.
Set up either. You don't want to be caught out on the front lines. Seneko is a big part of that damage. They'll see the couriers moving around as well. They'll just look to follow them.
Do you have a decent ward set up on the cliff?
Too. This would be the full Hurricane Pike for Seneko.
Katie's in a pretty good position to time walk away. Keep in mind, Aegis is gone from Retsu. Dark's gonna start straight onto the face of Void. That's the ideal target. No Chronosphere to worry about inside the team fight. This should just be a free engagement for Radiant. And they're just gonna be able to chase down their members. I mean, Seneko is starting to get some damage into Retsu, but it's not gonna matter. As soon as the Void is the first person killed off, you know it's not gonna be a good fight for Storm.
No, and I mean, Seneko did pump out a lot of damage in that team fight. He did the second most, 2.8k. It's just that it was only onto the Gyrocopter, and I mean, you see how quickly you can still die on the Faceless Void, even when the Gyrocopter wasn't actually there to do a lot of the damage. So this is just getting scarier and scarier, hitting up onto level 20 as well for Retsu, so an additional 40 damage while that Flak Cannon is active.
I mean, there's butterflies a game.
Should have waited, Retsu. Should have waited 5 seconds.
True. True. Dude, he's level 21. And they even got the other Wisdom Room as well. And Katie's trying to TP in, but they still have this cliff ward that we didn't see used prior, so... Do they want to hold the triangle? There's a DD at the bottom rune. Dude, I feel like with this butterfly and Retsu is just... It's going to be the game ender. If you even chrono him... if he doesn't even activate Satanic, I don't even think it matters. He might just lifesteal enough through the chrono to live, and you have no way to go through the evasion. You spoke about potentially like Seneco's damage. Well, I mean, good luck with that now for him.
I mean, he needs like an enchanted quiver, basically, and then just go off the true strike cooldown, basically, coming through from that. But beyond that, yeah, I'm really not seeing it too much. The only real avenue that I could see for StoRm coming back is either like a 5-man chrono in a Roche fight, where they end up taking that one back into, you know, they got a lot of AoE damage with the Firestorm coming through with the quick pickoffs with an Enchantress who might have Sproink to be able to do some AoE damage plus the Specialist's Array. Or somehow the gyrocopter is isolated away from the rest of the team and they just make it a 5-on-4 without the gyrocopter actually being there. But I really don't see any sort of reason for Matreshka to split up anymore. They've built up their lead, they've got good map control, they know that Roshan is going to be spawning fairly shortly, and that's the objective that they need to be playing for next.
Let's see, maybe with a DD on Nikki, it could
Maybe
be
with
just
being away from the team as well. TP's solo into the lane, but doesn't reveal himself for too long. Just a split second, making sure to shove the lane out, not make a lot of their moves a little bit more obvious. But we're seeing
they might go straight away.
One down here.
Yeah, with this DD on Nikki Cool, he has a surprising amount of damage. Living armor is going to be given over.
I mean, it is still nighttime, right? I think. Did you have Vampire Fangs on StoRm? No, I don't think they do. Might have been the difference.
He's got back up set up. This could be disastrous. Smoke up, and it's going to pop instantly. Dark as well could be catastrophic with the overgrowth. They're going to try and turn and corner the gyro, but they're doing barely any damage inside it. Meanwhile, over to the right side, that is a gigantic odds from Malice. And now they're even going to turn to the Faceless Void as well. It's a homing missile to the face. Seneko is caught down in the tree line. Once again, Dark is the only casualty for Matreshka, and it doesn't even matter. 3 for 1, and that's going to be Roche going their way. I mean, Nicky's still sticking around. I don't know, man.
Is there anyone that he could quickly pick off? I don't think so. Maybe just wanting to protect this vision, assuming that a support might come here solo to try and get the D-ward off. He would love to pick off
did he see him?
Mage and yoink the gem away. He can't kill an LC, that's for sure. But yeah, a little bit of a questionable decision to be able to go on the gyrocopter. You know, like, he barely tickled him in that fight. I think he got the flat cannon off in time, so he was still dealing some of that AoE damage with the Satanic, just the passive, doing so much healing. And you just imagine what the difference would be if you're somehow able to catch the StoRm or the LC inside of that. It means that there's not going to be a Halberd going off. It means that there's not going to be a Scythe of Vice going off. It means that there's not going to be an Overgrowth going off. They were still able to dispel it, sure, and Dark ended up dying, but it was at the cost of so much.
Oh, man, Malice might even jump 1J. Another glimpse of it. I think the Watcher was able to see the Legion. But it's up to lane cutting now here for the boys on StoRm. Nicky's going to do that mid. Dominic's doing it top, but it's not going to matter with bottom pushed out. You can just walk up high ground.
And you've got to say they're not exactly the greatest heroes at being able to do that really quickly and then, you know, force some damage into a lot of these towers. Right now, Nicky Cool just trying to get into his next item or even just farm the buyback, 150 away. Potential second last glyph of the game coming through, and once again, all Retsu needs to do is just stand on the high ground.
Whoa,
to tank up a lot of that damage.
Crazy rift location! And 1J's trying to run through it! Oh, he must have misclicked instead of the version. I don't know what's going on, but...
Yeah, he had the Aether Lens, so extra cast range, and he was just so far away, and he still was able to try and go into it. It's just one of those things where, unfortunately, a little bit of a misclick coming through 2 buybacks, but it's already after a full lane of Rax is gone, and they don't have Glyph. They just seem like they're completely on different pages here. You can't run into this gyrocopter, even if you kill him, he's got a second life. And he doesn't care.
Ooh, Seneko.
They just feels like they're waiting another 10 seconds for Duel to be available, and they're saying, all right, commit everything onto Retsu, we don't care. Oh. Bunker. Oh, they've even got this AoE Vortex coming through from Narwhal. He's gone for the big jump. Just gets the one, though.
At the start, but with the flat cannon damage, Nicky Cool's going to be sent back towards the tier 4 tower. Oh, Katie jumped in, and he's too late with the med, and they call it instantly.
No.
Oh my god. That was an instant GG. As soon as he couldn't even land the chrono, they did not want to stick around to see the outcome of that fight.
As soon as he was silenced, man, the GG was called. It didn't even wait for the death or anything like that. So that is a frustration GG if I've ever seen one. And I did feel like that StoRm, they had a bunch of issues.